Hey, friends, welcome and welcome back. It's hammock time, and I've been in the swing of making videos once a week, and I could get more organized with it because it gets down to the wire sometimes. And the wire is my wire. I placed it there. I created an expectation for myself to essentially keep a creative process, a creative practice. That's what this is to me. This is an opportunity for me to share what I've learned in hopes that whoever finds it that is seeking, because that's who this is for, might see or hear something that can help them, understand something better, or frame something, or inspire some notion, or whatever it is that allows whatever growth, or a little break from suffering, which is what yoga has brought for me in a lot of ways. So I'm trying to be here, and I'm trying to do this every Tuesday, and realizing it would be more beneficial for me to create these videos in advance of Tuesday instead of wait until Tuesday. But that's a different pot of coffee. So I am currently in an advanced yoga teacher training, and we're studying more about yoga philosophy. And I wanted to just share a little bit today about yoga philosophy in general, that it exists, like very basic 101, because I think when people think about yoga, they think about very specific things. They're thinking about postures. They're thinking about poses, right? I mean, is that what you think about? And when I go to teach yoga, I am very often teaching the postures of yoga. Maybe I am teaching some of the breath work of yoga, but more or less we're working with those things. And then, as you study more about yoga, you begin to understand that yoga is actually coming from a whole body of wisdom, and that yoga is a system within that body of wisdom. And that the body of wisdom, although yoga and the asanas and the style that I am learning and teaching are from the Vedic tradition and Hindu traditions and India proper, I would like to point out that yoga is not exclusive to India. And yoga philosophy was also a part of other traditions in Asia. Like I'm thinking about Thai massage, something else that I have studied, and how Thai massage and Buddhist philosophy are very much a similar framework to yoga as a system, Ashtanga yoga, which is what I'm referring to right now when I'm talking about yoga being greater than just the poses. Okay, let me back it up. Before I say more, I want to say that the postures and the poses, for me and for many, have been a gateway, a starting point, a space, a place, an opportunity to experience the present moment inside of the body in a way that helps you feel, ideally and hopefully, safe. That's important and it's crucial. And connected to self, like plugged into your body, plugged into your physical form, aware of your breath, aware of, the feeling of what's beneath you, all the things in the moment. So a lot of people can get into the deeper more nuanced, subtle, spiritual aspects of yoga after they have begun the practice of the physical postures, simply because it's a rabbit hole. And you start doing the postures, and then you're in classes and you start learning more about like the philosophy, or maybe you notice that you showed up to class and your energy was like at a 9, like not just energy, not energy like wakefulness and tired. I'm talking more when I say that, like maybe you have sort of an anxious energy about you, a little bit of agitated energy, ungrounded, and you show up and you do these postures, these asanas. That's what they're called in Sanskrit, asanas, the poses, and you feel more present, more centered. Maybe the edge is off. You've regulated your nervous system. You have gotten into your body. Super profound experience. And it is yoga. It is yoga. So when we say like, I am a yoga teacher, and all we're teaching is asana, we're teaching yoga. We are teaching yoga, technically. But we're only teaching this little tiny little piece of a much broader, deeper, and more comprehensive system that is designed to help us liberate ourselves and others from suffering. Okay, you just were showing up because you wanted to, become more flexible or something. I don't know, or more relaxed. That's what a lot of people go to yoga for. And then when you stick around and it starts to influence you in a way where you become more self-reflective, perhaps a little more curious about the origins of some of these postures and breath work, you get excited about the fact that there is seemingly a limitless amount of territory to cover. So anyway, I say all this to say that I would like to talk on some of the other parts of yoga beyond the postures, beyond the asanas, and expand into other terrain that also encompasses the philosophy, right? So specifically, we're talking about the yamas and the niyamas. So the yamas right now is what I'm focused on. Excuse me, I'm fixing my socks. In my teacher training, specifically, the first one that we are focusing on is ahimsa. So ahimsa is a Sanskrit word that is loosely translated into a few different words related to nonviolence, non-injury, non-harm. You get the picture. And it's a philosophical principle that asks us to reflect upon the ways in which harm shows up in our lives, whether overtly, so very obviously, or more subtly. And it's really got me thinking. And I'm going to save all of the various tangents that I could go off on with regard to this particular piece of yoga philosophy, this particular yama, ahimsa. But I did want to say that to me, being creative and being brave enough to put my random chats and yoga classes and philosophical explorations online to be found is really important to me, but it can be hard to do for all the reasons, right? And I have noticed that I make a promise to myself to go ahead and do a thing. And sometimes if I don't tell anybody else that I made the promise, I don't do it, right? I don't do it. And the harm that might come toward me for not keeping the promise to myself is not very obvious because I didn't do anything to anybody else. The promise that I made was only to myself. When you make a promise to somebody else and they don't follow through, they usually let you know. You know, you make a promise to somebody else, you don't follow through, they let you know the harm that was caused by that lack of follow through on your part. But, you know, when you make promises to yourself that you can't keep, as I often do, the harm is less obvious. It's more subtle. So, I don't know, I just thought I'd share with you that I have been observing in myself the ways in which I cause these like harm, micro harms, little harms to my trust in myself. Much the same way that I would cause harms in the relationships with someone else if I were to be promising on the level that I've promised myself and not following through. And I'm taking this awareness and applying it to the idea of ahimsa and nonviolence and my desire to be less harming, less injurious to myself. Because if you're not a person who's committing a lot of overt harm, if you're not like brash and rude and mean and, you know, cool with being a jerk or really down with, I don't know, the violent confrontation, then you don't necessarily see yourself as a person who is causing harm to yourself and others. It's not as obvious. And one of the cool things about yoga that I'm learning is that it is asking us to take a closer look and see what's there. So, yeah, that's what I have. Ahimsa. I don't know. If you're interested, look it up. Learn some more things. I'll talk about it more because I've been journaling a lot and I'm finding all kinds of examples of the ways that I am not that I am causing harm to myself and others or have in the past. And I'd also like to add really quickly before I run out of here that the spiritual path of yoga and this desire to be liberated from suffering should also be tempered by, you know, our willingness and ability to be humble and be human and make mistakes and not be perfect. So when I do talk about personal growth and spiritual growth and development, and as much as I value all these things and devote some amount of my life to them, I also would like to just be honest about the fact that I am not aspiring to be a Buddha, and I am not, I'm not desiring to constantly be fine-tuning myself toward perfection. So if you're looking for a teacher like that, it's not me. I'm endlessly curious and fascinated, and I will always be learning. But I'm not trying to be perfect in any way. However, I am trying to be more closely aligned with the things that I value, not just theoretically, but the outcomes I'd like to see in the world for both myself and others would be better supported by actions and would also be prevented by inactions. And I'm also looking at those in the context of ahimsa. So maybe that'll be another video. But for now, key takeaways. Yoga is not just the poses. It is expansive. And also, if you only do just the poses, and you can make those poses as accessible, meaning available to your body, whatever body you happen to be in. If you were to just do the poses and study the poses, the asanas, you would still have the experience, ostensibly, of doing yoga, meaning union with self, union with moment, union with the truth of what is happening right in here, right now. And you really wouldn't have to adopt like the larger framework and philosophy. However, to be more true to the roots of yoga, to be more true to the culture from which it springs, the teachers from whom gave it life, it would be beneficial to also acknowledge how the philosophies, the tenets, the principles support the greater goal of unity with all there is and liberation from suffering. So, I don't really know where exactly I went with that as far as like, I don't believe I kind of wrapped it up and put a bow on it. It looks all pretty and neat. Maybe that was all clear as mud. But I do appreciate very much your time, curiosity, attention. It's a long video. It's a short attention span world. And, you know, your girl over here is learning and just kind of riffing in real time. So thank you for being here with me while I learn. I so appreciate it. If you did take the time to watch the video, if you did like it, if you got anything out of it, please like the video. It helps. It helps. More people might have the opportunity to see it. And if you have a comment, leave a comment. I will respond. And I really do appreciate you being here. All right. Take care until next time. Thanks.